The information herein should not be used as a substitute for the advice of an appropriately qualified and licensed physician or other healthcare provider. The information provided here is for informational purposes only. Please check with a physician if you have questions or concerns. Although we attempt to provide accurate and up-to-date information, no guarantee is made to that effect.
There we are.
There we are.
There we go.
All right, is it on the right setting? Yeah.
Or is that the one?
Nope, not that one. It's this one.
That one.
Yeah,
the
it should be.
one.
Yeah, it's the bottom
Why
one.
is our mouth not moving?
I don't know.
I'm gonna do a whole new thing.
Yeah, we're gonna revamp this.
Yeah, revamp it. We've been doing this for a while. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while, so we're gonna do something a little different. Eventually.
Okay. Audio sounds good.
Cool. How are you?
Good.
Good. Good. What's been up?
I just finished my music comp class. Got enough points to get the certificate.
Very good. Excellent. Good for you. I'm very proud of you.
I am now a licensed music comp person.
Excellent. That's very impressive. Very nice. We've been doing a lot with the plants lately.
Yep.
We've got a lot of
Stuff drying, stuff curing, stuff
stuff
vegging.
needing to come up
Out
to dry.
soonish.
We've got a lot of plants that are coming
It's
to
got a
their
very-
fruition.
It's got a very planty show, right?
Well, it is a little planty. It's going to be a little scientific-y.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go in that direction. Plus, somebody said something to me. Actually, it's the person we're doing the shout out to. But he said to me something about pH. Or he just mentioned the pH of his.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah,
I was like, what is that even about? So
Right.
that's actually what our CEU is going to be about.
Cool.
All right. So our CEU today has to do with pH.
Yep.
And so the first thing that we're seeing here is just the pH scale and some of the things that go with it.
Goes from, 0 to 10?
1 to 10.
1 to 10.
Yeah.
And 7.
With 7 being the
pure middle, like
neutral.
Neutral.
Right.
Yes.
So as things go lower, they get more alkaline. And as they get higher, they get more acidic.
Other way around. They get...
Just kidding.
That's
right.
The lower the number gets, the more
lower.
basic it gets.
So
the higher the
alkaline.
number it gets, the more acidic it gets.
Right, because the meter that I used, the gauge would go all the way down the numbers rather than
Right.
right.
Yes.
Okay, which you'll see.
I will add that I think that this is missing 4 levels of pH, but those you never really see. Those are like biological.
Okay.
So just
So there's an
ding.
extra.
It goes. The reason it's 7 is because there's 14, and 7 is in the middle of 14.
Interesting. Okay, so there's a whole new rabbit hole. If you want to run down, you can run down that rabbit
it's
hole.
crazy.
All right. So I made this little presentation about pH that I think kind of helps
Explain
really,
it.
Well,
yeah.
it summarizes it
Yeah.
really quickly.
I mean, while we're here and it's still
it's
on the
gonna
image.
go in a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, acids are just highly concentrated hydrogen ions. That's what an acid is.
Interesting.
So,
Here we go.
What is water pH and how is it measured? In this video, we will explain the importance of water pH and how to use a pH meter to ensure your cannabis can grow healthy
hear it playing.
and strong.
Try it again. Make sure.
pH measures the acidity or alkalinity of a substance. In this case, the water you use for your plants. One of the most common issues in the cannabis garden are pH imbalances.
All right, so I can't hear it, but that's fine.
Right.
So what
see,
I wanted to do
14.
before we got to that, I wanted to just pause right there. Okay. So the best way to measure the pH in your soil is to use a digital thermometer, right?
Right.
You
well,
buy you can
not a thermometer.
I'm
it's a
sorry, digital
hygrometer or something. What is it called? Digital pH meter. So I guess is what it's called.
So it's that's it. Doesn't
Yeah.
have a funny name.
Wish it did. Probably does.
It probably should. All right, so you can use the digital one. It's really the most accurate one.
Yeah.
But unless you have the money for one and you want to like invest that way, there are much easier ways that you can test it that are more economical. And actually, there are some that are actually
Less economical.
and some you can find in your house. So
Yes. That is true.
just a piece on the digital thermometer.
Cannabis can grow healthy and strong. pH measures the acidity or alkalinity of a substance. In this case, the water you use for your plants. One of the most common issues in the cannabis garden are pH imbalances. If pH is outside the desired range, plants cannot access nutrients, and it will lead to deficiencies and other serious health problems.
This is
Cannabis plants are only able to take up nutrients within a small pH window, which ranges from about 6.0.
Absorption.
So it can only
So-
absorb between 6 and 7. So really,
The
it's
sweet range is that 6 to 7.
slightly acidic, but very neutral-ish.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's where cannabis wants to be, right? And so
That
if it's
kinda
in
makes
that,
sense.
if it's in that range, then optimal nutrients are getting to the roots.
Nutrient uptake is
Correct.
optimal.
To 7.0 when growing in soil, and 5.5 to 6.5 if you're growing with hydroponics. This is why having a well-balanced pH is so important. Growing in soil.
Growing in soil.
It's good to allow for some natural pH
Now,
fluctuations,
this is interesting.
as long as it's
They talk about growing in soil, and then they're going to talk about hydroponics. It's not exactly the same.
No, I wouldn't.
Nor-
I wouldn't think it would be the same.
Nor is it the same between vegging stage and flowering stage.
That also makes sense.
So
in the desirable range.
Okay.
To support optimal nutrient uptake, you can, for example, adjust your pH to 6.2 for one watering, then 6.6 the next, and so on. As long as it stays within 6.0 to 7.0, you should be fine. It's worth noting that growing in organic soil is a bit more
The level
right,
that you water it at.
right, which I think that's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could do the pH of my
Well, okay.
fucking water
Well,
every.
let's be real. You don't do the watering. I do the watering.
Fair
so,
enough.
could I do that? Yeah, if I had a quick thing like to dip in the water before I brought it down, yeah, I would be fine with that. But I wouldn't want to do like the
but
tests I had to do in environmental science that took 45 minutes to test the
Well,
pH.
no, I mean you wouldn't do that.
So.
You'd have like a test strip or something. But like, seriously, you're going to spend an extra 10 minutes to continually check your pH? That seems like a little bit much.
Well,
If it were me and I had to monitor the pH, I would probably find out what my water was and go with that, unless my water was too acidic or basic.
yeah.
Right?
Mm.
But the cool thing is that we use the
Living soil.
organic live
Living soil, yeah.
So the bacteria
There's
come
like
and-
bacteria and microbes and all of that. So they all like keep it in its optimal range because it's it's its own biome essentially.
More forgiving when it comes to pH, as microorganisms in the substrate will help make the nutrients more available to the roots. Growing hydroponically. In hydro, it's just as important that you allow the pH level to fluctuate across the acceptable range to support nutrient uptake. And you will only need to correct the levels if the pH exits the 5.5 to 6.5 range. Huge fluctuations of pH are riskier than in soil.
Have to find out.
Well, yeah.
So I wanted to stop here for a second, and these are the things that can happen to pH, to your plants if your pH is off balance, right? So you could have stunted growth, red or purple discoloration, burnt tips. If it's high in pH, you're still going to get that stunted stuff, but you're going to get tip death to the new leaves, and possibly that dark green leaf with red or purple tinting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now the next thing that I put into the video was pictures of our current grow, because our current grow has a lot of these red leaves, and I looked, looking at these different symptoms, I'd say our plants have a lot of these symptoms.
Yes.
It kind of made wait. Okay. So it makes me really nervous, right? But after doing a little more research, and I apologize, this is so hard to read, but basically what this is saying, and I'll leave it up so you can read it, but basically what it's saying is if you want to check your soil pH, there's a way to do it where you add distilled water to the soil, and then you can put either an acidic thing in or a basic thing in, and if it fizzes, then that means your soil is acidic or basic.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So it's just an interesting.
All right. Yeah. So
with-
you're doing the baking soda volcano, but with your soil.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting
'Cause
concept.
That's what that's saying to me is. 'cause
Well, I
put-
think you're just getting a chemical reaction
Right,
without
which
using
is-
chemicals. Bless
you're
you.
getting. Thank you. You're doing like a distilled water and then you pour vinegar. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it's so. I
Interesting.
think this is something I've never done before. Type of plant might look different color-wise. Yes. And so the reason that I continued the research past, because most of the stuff that comes up just tells you it's between 6 and 7. The pH needs to be between 6 and 7.
Yep.
They all say that with like 1,000 other words around it, but that's really all they're saying.
It's the big picture there.
But really what it comes down to is, so here's pictures of our current plants. This one is perfect, right? It's right in the right range.
It's right in the 7. I know it doesn't look like it's in the 7, but 7 on it is like halfway over to the left.
Right.
Which,
So that's one of them. So I plugged it into one, and then I plugged it into another one. Sorry, I left this. I
It's
shouldn't
up
have
further.
paused it. I put it in so that you could see it. But this is the next one, and the needle moved farther to the left, which put it more.
acidic, right? Yes, because it's out or
No, it's more basic.
more basic. Okay,
Right.
more
It's
basic.
more alkaline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I kind of got nervous because I put them into all of them, and they all kind of came out like this.
Yeah.
This little bit to this basic
Right.
alkaline side, right?
Which kind of makes sense to me from a biological standpoint, because to make energy, you need a really high concentration of acid in the mitochondria. That's all I'm going to get into. And our plants are really at the end of their life cycle.
Okay.
So
Which is my guess.
they've sucked all of those hydrogen ions, or all of like the nutrients that would change the pH out,
Right.
and they are hoarding it in the trichomes and stuff like that.
Which is what we want. this is what our leaves look like, which is kind of what, as I did the research for the pH, it kind of got me kind of freaking out. But I will tell you, that plant right there with all those pretty leaves
Is a substrain.
that's the one. No, that one. When I put the meter in, that was the one that came to the 7.
Oh, okay.
So once I saw that, then I had to think about, well, why would they be like that?
Is it the strain?
And it has to do with the strain. Hold on. Is it going?
Nope.
Okay, now it's gone. So this is one picture of it, and you can see how the red kind of goes around the yellow.
Yeah, and it's kind of it radiates from the stems in a way.
In a way, yeah. Right. So it turns out that strain that we're growing is rainbow gelato sherbet.
Oh,
right?
so it's
So
see.
and now that one,
That's our
that's a
tits.
tits.
Yes.
So that looks different. Now,
Its leaves are kind of reddish and stuff, and I would say that because the pH is more alkaline, right?
right.
It's kind of doing that those symptoms that we talked about. and-
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do one more picture. Here's and I just think this is gorgeous.
Yes. This is the other rainbow gelato sherbet.
And it's because of the rainbow gelato. The rainbow gelato sherbet is a child of rainbow belts. Rainbow belts and something were crossbred, and it trickled down, and now we have this, which you can see is very rainbowy.
Very colorful.
Yeah. Now the last part I did. This is trichomes. This is the rainbow gelato belt.
Yep.
It's hard to see, but those were pretty cloudy. This is the tits.
These ones are like really
super
cloudy.
cloudy.
Yeah, these ones are red.
I mean, it looks, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're right at the end of this grow. So I think that's what's throwing the pH off.
right. Which would make sense.
Which would make sense. However, when you start the flowering, and while you're in the flowering, you want to be a little bit higher in your range. So 6.
A little bit more acidic.
Little bit more acidic, correct.
Which makes sense
6.5
because they need
to
more. They need
7.5.
more energy, which comes from the mitochondria, which is
acidic.
the powerhouse of the cell,
There you go.
and
Okay.
it needs a very high concentration of acid to function. Period.
Well, there you go. Okay. Scientific Simon.
There you go.
Okay. So we're going to quickly move into our other
Thing.
thing, right? So never.
Almost 420.
Okay. So before I get into the Never Have I Ever, because the Never Have I Ever has to do with what I see very often from people who are like very much in the know, and they continue to do it. So, but before that, it is 420. So smoke them if you got them. I'm smoking peach rings today. Peach rings is a strain that tastes like peach rings. No, it's a good strain. Yeah. We can do a review on it sometime, but usually I do reviews of the
stuff we
the
have.
flower
The flower
we're
have.
growing right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah, so we kind of know what we're getting.
but this peach rings is out of a boutique pen, and it tastes like peach rings. So, that's cool. What are you all smoking? I don't see our other friend who usually is.
Where's Roxanne?
Yeah,
It
usually
might be a
usually
time
she's here.
conflict.
It could be a time conflict. I also know that the Karen Reed trial is going on right now, so many people are in Karen
Yeah.
Reed land, which is fine.
go
you know,
over there. They need your support. And
Yeah, I don't know about that. They have a lot of support.
wow,
We need your support.
we need your support.
It's more about us.
We should take from them. We should
Correct.
go. We should go. We should go raid them and then get people to come over here.
Right.
Yeah?
Exactly.
Like the Vikings.
Like the Vikings.
Yeah, that's what the Vikings
All right,
used to do.
moving on. Never have I ever. So
Alcohol's behavior is a matter of science. It disappears without a
never
trace,
have I ever.
or does it leave a residue?
hair, huh?
The answer lies within its evaporative process.
I want to go back. Because the reason that I did this never have I ever. Never
Mm-hmm.
have I ever taken my dab rig and cleaned the banger every single time.
Oh, why would you do that?
Because, well, so this is the thing. I've read over and over that you clean out the banger where you'd put the dab. You
Yeah.
clean it out every single time
Okay.
with alcohol
Yeah.
so that you get a nice, clean, and flavorful dab. Which I just think is like...
Okay.
All right, but I mean, I get
Yes,
that.
okay.
But my whole thing was, well, we're just taking alcohol and putting it in there. Like, so are we just inhaling alcohol? Like, should I mean, like, I went somewhere and I tried somebody, hi, Murky. I tried one and he did the alcohol thing in between the two, and I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now that I'm kind of doing some
going
research,
back,
I'm like,
yeah.
well, what was I inhaling? Was I inhaling some of like alcohol stuff? So, Sherman, this is Sherman, right?
Okay.
I've told you that this is Sherman?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So this is Sherman. Sherman's going to teach us about alcohol.
Okay.
Alcohol's behavior is a matter of science. It disappears without a trace, or does it leave a residue? The answer lies within its evaporative process. Let's dive into the science to uncover the truth about alcohol evaporation. Cleaning with alcohol is effective. It evaporates quickly, leaving no trace behind. Isopropyl alcohol removes oils and dirt without damaging surfaces. But remember, purity matters. Low concentrations can leave residues. Not all isopropyl alcohol is created equal. Some lower-grade options may leave a light film, especially on glossy surfaces. 99% has the lowest residue level. 70% has a potential for more residue due to water and additives. The factors affecting alcohol residue are concentration and purity. What's in your alcohol solution matters a lot. Two things to keep an eye on: concentration. Higher alcohol contents evaporate faster and are less likely to leave residue. And purity. Alcohol mixed with other substances might not evaporate completely. Impurities can leave a trace. Environmental conditions affecting how alcohol behaves. Things to keep in mind are temperature. Warmer temperatures mean quicker evaporation. Humidity. In humid places, alcohol takes longer to evaporate. And airflow. Windy or well-ventilated areas speed up evaporation.
usemybud.com. So yeah, the thing with the alcohol is what it's this one. Good idea.
It's
the residue.
It's the purity that really matters.
Correct.
Which
So you could go cheap and get the 70 and risk inhaling some sort of whatever's there.
whatever they used whatever they used in the process of distilling the alcohol down is what residue would be.
Right. It's going to be
Whatever
whatever
is
fillers.
whatever is left from the chemicals that they used to take the alcohol from whatever they took the alcohol from, probably potatoes or whatever.
I have no idea. But
It's some
I
form
know
of
that
something.
So if I were to clean my banger,
Mm-hmm.
I would get 99.9%.
Yeah,
Because
but that's
I
like-
would want to make sure that I'm inhaling the least amount of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have 99%, 91% that we use to clean our stuff,
yeah.
but we always rinse it out.
Yes,
afterwards.
because that stuff does leaves a smell, and it leaves kind of a trace.
Which was my whole thing. So the smell's got to be it evaporating.
Yes,
Right?
correct. That is what it is.
Okay.
That is it going from its liquid form to its gaseous form.
Vapor.
Yes.
Yeah. So, something to be
Think about.
aware of. Next time,
Yeah.
next time I go somewhere and they're doing that, I'm
Gonna
like
ask-
legit. I'm gonna go, what percent alcohol are you using? And they're going to go 99.9. And I'm going to be like, cool.
Be like,
But if
"Thank
they're
you."
like 70 and be like, I'm all set, man. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, come on, why not? And be like, dude,
dude.
because there's residue in there. Check out my live
video
show.
Check out my show.
usemybud.com. No, actually, that's a good quick side note. Usemybud.com. I'm really trying to figure out a better way to do that because currently we're going through Shopify to do like the website, and I can't get videos up, and it's very I feel handcuffed in that platform. So I'm gonna try and figure out a different platform so that we can revamp it and get some of this into the website. Because I just am constantly hitting this wall, trying to figure stuff out.
We could get like a domain or something.
Well, no, we have the domain.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, it's attached to usemybud.com. It's just I can only the only place I can do only images.
Yeah.
And 99% of it is in the blog section.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
it's a
Whatever.
little frustrating. Anywho, so let's move into our symptom talk. It's like that show, Growing Pains.
Yeah.
There's a show, Growing Pains.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Not Alex P. Keaton. Growing Pains with the Seavers. All right, so our symptom talk today. What I wanted to do, oops, wrong thing. What I wanted to do was talk about giggly. Because I think what I'd like to have a little conversation. What's giggly? When I say giggly, what does that mean to you?
Well, I just think like hee. That's
Okay.
like giggly. That's what that's
So like
that's what I think. I don't really attribute anything else to it. That's what I think.
So when I think giggly, I think uncontrollable laughter to the point where, like, all right, maybe it starts out at giggles, but it's uncontrollable. You can't stop giggling. How about those in the chat? What do you think giggling is?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to go right into it. Just give
No,
people.
I was just thinking,
Okay.
this is the
But-
part where I kind of want the
Yeah.
audience participation kind of thing. And so this was a good place, I thought, to ask, what do people think giggly is?
Yeah.
Because when I think of like a strain that's going to give me the giggles, legit, I think of something that's going to make me laugh uncontrollably. So
I've never had that happen to me before. Never have I ever laughed uncontrollably.
Oh.
I've never had a moment like that.
Huh.
I don't think.
That's
that I can
interesting.
remember.
We'll have to change that. So the breaking news is that there has been a study done about experienced cannabis patients show no driving impairment, study finds. So
Isn't that interesting?
I will say I tried to verify this whole thing and double check it's, peer reviewed or whatever. I did not find this particular one peer reviewed.
Okay.
So this is not something to take as gospel.
Right.
This is just one study that I thought was really interesting.
It's a very recent study, so it would.
Well,
I kind of.
This is when he wrote March 5th is when he wrote the thing, not when the study was conducted. So the study was conducted recently,
Oh, okay.
but not on March 5th.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
So-
Understandable.
But I have found since other studies about this general topic. So there are things that are there are some things growing belly laugh. Yes. A proper belly laugh.
Proper belly laugh.
So there are many other studies like this. All right. So key takeaways, really what they're talking about is how experienced cannabis drivers, they don't show
Significant impairment. That's very important. That significant impairment part. That means that there is minor impairment.
Correct. Well, there's been other
probably.
studies that show that.
Yes.
That there is some impairment, but this is actually showing that it's not as affected as we thought.
Mm-hmm.
So the study was conducted at the University of Michigan.
Okay.
With regular use cannabis people.
Mm-hmm.
So they took driving and performance before and after they consumed their typical medical cannabis dose.
Okay.
So they just used like what was normal for them, right?
Right.
Not everybody gets the same, but what would you use? What would you use? What would you use?
What is like your personal dosage
Dosage.
that you take on the regular to deal
Correct.
with your pain or your
Whatever.
stomach issues or your glaucoma or
Right, we talked
your
about
stuff.
glaucoma last time.
Yep. Callback.
So what it says, or what the study found, was that contrary...
Can't see it really off to the side.
Oh, no! It is still off to the side. Hang on.
Oh, why is it doing that?
Okay, I'm going to go back. Thank you for saying something. Restart capture. Look at that.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Now,
Ah, there we go. Yep.
All right, so let's go back up to the beginning. Experienced cannabis patients show no driving impairment, study finds. So all we were really talking about was this first and second bullet. Basically, they found that if you take your own normal dose, your driving isn't impaired. I don't know that that's exactly
Significantly impaired.
correct. I want to go back
Like-
to significantly
Yeah.
right. And one more time, disclaimer, this is not peer reviewed. This is just one of many different studies that they have on this, which I just think is I can't believe they're having studies that are done
Yeah.
on the driving. So they did this study, right? So they did people at their dose.
Yep.
All right. And yes, they found no significant impairment. But the performance ratings that they were doing was reaction time, lane positioning, speed adherence, and overall driving performance scores.
Okay.
Okay. Reaction time, we know that reaction time is slowed. when you
slowed, yes.
Right? So maybe not as slowed.
As alcohol, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. Every study I've seen said that
Oh, yeah.
this was not compared to alcohol. It's not a
not.
comparison.
Which is important. Which is important to know is that it's not like
Which is the next thing. So let's just move to that. Blood THC levels not correlated with performance.
okay.
So whereas when you get pulled over for drunk driving, you get breathalyzed, but when you get to the station, sometimes they take your blood, right? So they can find out how much alcohol is in your blood. They're trying to do it with THC, saying that there's the correlation. But what this study found was that the THC levels aren't really correlated with performance.
Okay.
All right. And so that creates the challenge to zero tolerance policies because
Right,
you
okay.
have, any THC in your system, you're automatically DUI.
Right.
Well, that's not going to quite work.
Right.
But what they're trying to say is, there's a gray area maybe of, and I don't know how they're going to
Yeah, that's I
they're
don't
going to go about this, but there's a difference between having it in your system and being impaired.
Yes. Okay.
That's I think that's the-
Okay.
right. The other thing I thought was important was
right.
the study limitations.
Okay.
The sample size was only 31 patients, right?
And experienced medical users were exclusively focused on. Okay.
Not recreational or novice patients. So
All
you
right.
got people who are using it for legit reasons, which, just a side note, I know that when you have a real
Thing.
symptom, you take the medicine, it doesn't do the side effect as much. Like if you're really in pain and you take a painkiller, it doesn't make you as light and floaty.
as it.
as if you weren't in pain.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
I
All
think
right.
that's kind of what they're getting at is like if you're really in pain, you're taking cannabis to help your pain, it's not affecting your abilities as much.
Right. Okay.
Right.
And researchers could not ethically test extremely high doses. Okay. Yeah. Exceed typical therapeutic amounts, which would make sense because they're doing medical users exclusively.
Correct.
If they were doing recreational users,
That could be a whole different
study.
right. And you talk about a medical user's probably taking a hit or two every 2 or 3 hours, not smoking a blunt and then hopping in the car and driving to Stop and Shop. I'm just saying, it's probably not the same. So when we're talking about this study, we're talking about people who have controlled doses.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also on a controlled driving course, which is on public roads, but it did not include all possible driving scenarios. So it probably didn't include snowy or rainy or
Oh my God,
anything like that.
I don't even think that's what they're talking about. I think they're talking about turning cars and things like
No, I think that
a
they have.
person trying to cross the street, things like that. I don't think they're talking about driving conditions being different.
Well, I
I'll
wish
bet
that
you
they
that's
were.
a whole
I wish they
different
were-
confounding. That
I
would
wish
be
I wish they specified a little bit.
Yeah.
On that.
And that's probably something that, as a study that hasn't been replicated, those are the things that,
Need to
as
be-
they are peer reviewed, those are the things that get
Found
caught.
out.
So, conclusion, the study adds important nuance to the ongoing discussion about cannabis use in driving safely. The results suggest that for experienced medical cannabis patients using their typical therapeutic doses, driving performance may not be significantly impaired. However, the researchers emphasize that these findings should not be interpreted as suggesting that all cannabis use is compatible with safe driving.
Right.
Different user groups, higher doses, and various cannabis products may produce different effects.
Yep.
The safest approach is to remains to separate cannabis from driving entirely.
Yep.
So,
I agree that.
which is what we've just been talking
Yeah,
about.
it's just
You-
don't drive drunk, don't drive high. Like these are
It's the
things
same.
like you learn when you're young. Don't do them.
And don't do them. So there
know,
it is, right?
Against the law,
And so, I got that article came across my desk, so to speak,
Yeah.
and I just thought it was really cool. So,
It's an interesting study. It I would like to see them do it again with a larger group of people and
I'm sure that they will. You should see some of the. So I found a whole website.
Oh,
with
yeah.
all of the things that they're doing.
Oh, yeah,
they
wow.
are doing some really cool cannabis
studies.
research. Yeah, it's crazy. We'll do some. We may go into some of them because they are really that cool.
Okay.
They're that fun. Today's strain is called Runtz. Runtz, also known as Runtz OG, is made by crossing Skittles with gelato, and it's loved for its incredible fruity flavor profile that smells just like a bag of the sugary candy we all know and love. Runtz was named Leafly's Strain of the Year in 2020. Runtz is celebrated for its creamy smoke that is smooth and welcoming. This strain produces euphoric highs and uplifting effects that are known to be long-lasting. Purple Caper Seeds released the same cross under the name Gelato Skittles. Runtz is known by many users world over, including Zwirls is the name that they use in the Netherlands.
Okay. Interesting.
At least 20 variations of Runtz exist, with many more to come.
Okay. So it's like like an apple, say. You have like
Correct. There's so many different kinds of
types of
apples,
apples.
right?
Okay.
So Runtz, it's a pretty. Oh, and I will say that the Runtz that we grew
Look exactly like
look
that.
exactly like that.
Except they're
however,
more trichomes.
yeah, way
They're
more.
covered.
take that and put like a bunch of snow on top of it, and that's what ours looks like. No joke. It's out of control. So strain highlights are the strain, it's euphoric and giggly.
Okay.
Which is why we talked about giggly, but it's talkative. You know, chatty.
Okay.
It dry mouth, anxious, dizzy. Those things, yes. The dry mouth is the thing I'd look out for, because there are certain strains, and this would be one of them.
Yeah.
That gives you a big
dry mouth. Yeah.
Now, anxious. Anxious is also one of the uses for this strain. Now, what that means is that if you take too much of it, it might make you anxious.
Okay.
So, but if you take the right amount of it, it's going to relieve that anxiety.
So ironically, it will both cure and cause your anxiety.
It very well could. Depends. And again, this is about dosage.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
It's always
Like,
about dosage.
It really is. Piglet bud. You see, it could have so many different names.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why we have piglet bud unless you guys are growing that. Which, if you are, that's for you guys.
I want to see to that. That sounds cool.
It is cool. All right. So, the next.
Do we have a picture?
We don't have a picture. The reason we don't have a picture this week is because I did the video for it, and the program crashed.
Oh no, and
so
it didn't
It didn't save.
Oh, that
and
sucks.
The problem was that
I know
it was videos of us wet trimming.
Yep. Okay.
So I had to take the video and then speed it up so that it was like time lapsed. Because I had 5 minutes of one video and then another 7 minutes, which would have been very long. Well, it just would have been a long video.
Right, yeah.
So what we'll do is next week we'll do our wet trimming.
Okay. Extravaganza.
Now I will say that our shout out has to do with
The trimming.
Hell yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
All right, so our shout out this week is to our friend Alex, who was gracious enough to come over and help us trim our Runtz, which was a lot of trim.
Yep. Yeah.
Because Runtz grows
kind of leafy.
Yeah. The buds aren't really dense. They're
kind of
fluffy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And
yes,
so
yes.
There was a lot of little bits that we had to kind of cut out.
Yep.
And yeah. So it was a lot, and it was really helpful with having Alex come over. We were able to get it done in what, half an hour, 45 minutes?
45 minutes, yeah.
45 minutes, yeah. Would have taken us easily an hour and a half.
It's taken us an hour 15 probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it an hour and a half.
No.
No.
I think it was significant. It definitely was good for my back.
Once I get into the groove, I kind of start
you're-
speeding up. And,
You're young. Your back is your back. My back is
old and
messed up. It's
old and decrepit.
It's just silly.
Yep.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of our show. It's a little bit of a short show today, but that's okay.
So just as long as the rest of them, maybe 5 minutes less than the previous ones.
Last one we did was 5:15.
Well, that one was that one had you and Mrs. Weedley.
Mrs. Weedley.
Miss Weedley came back for that one, so
Yeah. Which she will be in and out, I think.
Yeah.
Over the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
So we'll see where she's living at the point. Not living, I don't mean it like that, but
the presence might be
in and out. I don't know where she's planted, like a weed.
like the weed.
Like weeds were planted. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
But
wow.
I'll tell you, the aches and pains I'm getting are definitely telling me that, like, oh, you're getting older. So I'm starting to. Let's put it this way:
as soon
I'm
as you hit 40,
starting
your
to
entire body
understand.
is a new body. That's something to think about. Because after 40 years, every cell in your body has completely gone through one's full life cycle.
Well, I understand that, but
So-
it doesn't go through the full life cycle all at the same time.
No, however,
So-
it means that it's like a ship.
I don't know that
It's
it
like a
means
ship.
that.
It's a ship of Theseus thing.
What?
You know the ship of Theseus.
No,
There
no.
are two ships in
Yeah.
this museum. One is the original ship of Theseus, and one is an exact replica of the ship of Theseus.
Okay.
The ship of Theseus degrades and rots over time, and is eventually replaced with the boards, and like replaced and
Sure,
refurbished.
okay.
This one is eventually taken or put back together of the pieces of the ship of Theseus. And the question is, which one is the ship of Theseus?
Interesting.
Computer sound is loud.
Yeah, you know
Okay.
why? Because we're like leaning into the microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind
we
of.
could probably just take this and move this
Yeah.
back just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I've been leaning forward. I don't know why.
Eh.
But thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was good seeing all of you, and we'll see you next week.
Well, that about does her. Wraps are all up.